The Chauncey Gardner Johnson situation has finally ended. This is not Howie Roseman's fault. It's not. It's all on Chauncey. Joel Embiid, dominant weekend again. And guys, Trea Turner is a Philadelphia freaking Philly. Did we forget that? Trending in the AM. It starts in 30 seconds.
Holding, gets around in front. Joel Embiid, and Philadelphia has it.
And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. We're live, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow on all social media platforms. Do us that favor and head over to the DSM Media YouTube page. Hit the like button, the subscribe button, turn notifications on. It is the best place to get interactive with the show. We'd greatly appreciate it. It's a place to put all your comments, thoughts, concerns, as we got lots to talk about today. The Chauncey Gardner Johnson situation, has resolved itself. It is over. It is officially done. We do not have to worry about it anymore. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but we don't have to worry about it anymore. I want to talk a little bit today. I'm trying to get this stuff all shared out here. I want to talk a little bit today about the Sixers. Joel Embiid, another dominant weekend in Philadelphia. Also, we've got to talk about Trea Turner. Did we forget he's a Philly? I mean, dude, watching the World Baseball Classic, and I know I'm not the biggest fan of the World Baseball Classic out there, but damn, save some of that for Philly when you get here, my man, because that boy is tearing the cover off the ball and nonstop. Man. So let's get into it. Chauncey Gardner Johnson. Howie Roseman, this is not on him. It's not. The Eagles, the former Eagle finally flew the nest, signing a 1-year, $8 million deal, $6.5 million guaranteed with the Detroit Lions. Good morning. How you doing? Yeah, it's a surprise. When that news broke last night and you saw that Chauncey Gardner Johnson was going to Detroit, you had to say to yourself, what? Really? Like, what happened? I mean, 1 year, $8 million deal. The initial overreaction is, couldn't Howie have matched that, this, that, and the third? But let's be honest. If that was really the best deal available, there's no way Howie did not offer better. I really think Chauncey Gardner Johnson and his agent misplayed this situation in its entirety. They thought he was going to get a $60 million deal. Those values, projected values, had him at $13 million a year projections. No one came close. His agency was dropping tweets late last night, this morning, about the offers. 1 year, $8 million from Detroit, but the Eagles offered 3 or 27, with 17 of it in the back end of the deal guaranteed. Like, is that really like a flex to like brag that your client was offered 27 million and we turned it down for 8 million? Look, there's been issues here since day one with Chauncey Gardner Johnson when he was in the draft, and I'm just learning about this morning, that there are questions about him off the field. On the field, he's a great safety. Led the league in interceptions in 12 games last year. The guy knows what he's doing on the field. But off the field, he is a diva. I mean, this last 2-week stretch of all the tweets, the subtweets, the deleted tweets, the Instagram changes, first and foremost, the way he has acted over the last 2 weeks just shows a lack of maturity. I mean, this team is already filled with divas, the Eagles. We don't need all these divas here. To me, the way this scenario played out was pretty simple. Howie Roseman's like, yo, I'm going to offer you this. Maybe there was a deal, maybe the 3-year 27 wasn't the max deal. Maybe that was the first offer. Maybe that was the second offer. I have a feeling in my mind that Howie made a real legitimate offer. Maybe 3 years, 30 million, 3 years, 33 million, somewhere in that scenario, right at the beginning, before free agency even began. In my mind, that is what was done. He was the number one goal this offseason. And maybe even as big as 3 years, 36 million was offered to Chauncey Gardner Johnson. He said no, that he was going to test the market. Howie pivots, finds a way to restructure Darius Slay, finds a way to bring back James Bradbury, who took less than what he was offered elsewhere to come back here because he wanted to be here. Then Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's like, oh shit. That first deal, is it still on the table? And Howie's like, dude, I don't got that money left. We can offer you this 3-year, $27 million deal where you're going to get $17 million in your third year guaranteed. And Chauncey Gardner-Johnson said, F no, I want that first deal. And Howie's like, it's not on the table anymore. The negotiations went back and forth. And I think this is how we got to this situation. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson drove a hard bargain. Yeah, whoever stole his car. Exactly. Look, I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson called the bluff and said I could get more elsewhere. He couldn't. He didn't. Came back begging. Howie said, dude, I pivoted. I went elsewhere. You know, and I could give you this instead. And then he's like, no. So now he's going to go, no offense to my man Jason in Detroit. Now he's going to go to Detroit and play for Dan Campbell. I mean, Detroit's a team on the up and up. He's going to have another year to prove it. He's going to get $8 million. You know, probably make the full $8 million. It's 6.5 guaranteed, but whatever. And we'll have to see. It just goes to show that maybe the safety market is turned into like the running back market to an extent where it's just not valued the way that people believe it is. What's up, my man Mitch? How you doing this morning? We're starting it off with Chauncey. He flew the nest. He's gone. Bye-bye. But let me tell you something. In my humble opinion, and you know me, I have no problem being humble, we are better off with Darius Slay and Bradbury at 32 and 30 years old, respectively, for the next 3 years, than just Chauncey Gardner-Johnson at 25 years old or whatever he is. Because basically that was what it was. Howie wanted Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and was going to probably move on from those cornerbacks. He didn't. The situation didn't play out that way. Now we're at the situation we're at now. We've got the two stud cornerbacks. We lose the safety. And let's be honest. Losing Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, yeah, he was an energetic, positive influence on the field, a diva off the field. But it's not like half of the NFL and half of Eagles fans even knew who Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was last year before he got traded to the Eagles. He was just another slot corner safety hybrid. We got him for next to nothing. We had him for 1 year, and we move on. We'll get the compensation pick, whatever. You know, probably another 6th-round pick next year for him. But this is not like Howie's not going to go out there. It's not like next year it's going to be Kayvon Wallace and Reed Blankenship. Howie's going to bring somebody else in here to play safety. Maybe 2 more people. So anybody thinking and worrying that, oh, well, our secondary is going to stink and this and that. Look, he was able to punk Chauncey out of thin air for next to nothing. He is going to find somebody, whether it's in the draft. I still don't think it'll be a safety in the draft in the first round. Now everybody's pivoted off of wanting that cornerback with that 10th pick. Now everybody wants Branch, the safety from Alabama, with the 10th pick. It's not going to happen. Maybe he drafts somebody in the 2nd or 3rd round or late in the 1st round, but he's not. I'll still stand by what I said last week. Howie will not be drafting at 10. He will be trading unless somebody that's a can't-miss guy falls to 10 to him. He is going to trade back from 10. He's probably only going to take 1 first-round pick this year. Probably going to find ways to move back and save some money there, build more assets. But we also have, between compensatory picks and our picks and picks we've gained from other trades, I think we're at 12 draft picks next year in 2024. So even if you move some of this year's picks off into next year to gain more capital, Howie's going to have at least 2 trades up his sleeve between now and the start of the season. There's no need for 12 draft picks in 2024 and whatever else they gain. There was a swing and miss extending him during the offseason. There was a swing. Look, I think the swing and miss was Chauncey. I think Howie probably did things the right way. He said, here's your contract. Chauncey's like, nah, I could get more. Then realized he couldn't get more. He swung and missed. I really think this was not the Eagles. And I really think that the original plan was Chauncey, not Slay and Bradbury. Howie said, okay, I'll find another way, Mark. Gets those guys instead. Then I think that's where also the 3-year, $27 million deal that we see getting pumped out there by Chauncey's agents, that came in when he's like, okay, no, I'll come back to Philly. And now he's like, this is all I got left. So that's where I'm saying like that's what I think. I think this was a swing and miss on Chauncey. I think this showed the immaturity of Chauncey. CGJ, for as great of a player as he on the field, has had questionable character issues since day one. So this is how it's all played out. Yeah, like I said, 12 picks next year. They don't need 12 picks. They got multiple second, multiple third. I think they got like 5 or 6 fifth and 6th round picks. It's insane the draft we have next year. Nobody takes 12 draft picks. So some of those picks are going to get packaged. They are going to make another trade for another safety somewhere. It's just the way it's going to happen. You might see, what's this, draft capital they traded to the Saints is now lost. Well, it happens. You lost that. You still have 12 picks next year, Mark. I don't think having 12 picks next year. Yeah, we got 5 fifth-round picks next year. Trust me. Howie Roseman, you might see him sign a free agent, which, look, I know people are going to jump on the bringing back the Green Goblin. I don't know about that. Jalen Mills was never his biggest supporter here. Maybe he's become better since his time in New England. We'll see. But he's probably going to sign a free agent safety. There's a couple names out there. But then there's also going to be guys that are on the trade market. It would not surprise me by August 1st. We've got 2 more safeties in here. 1 free agent, 1 trade, plus a third safety that we draft somewhere in the 2nd or 3rd round of the draft. It's just the way it's going to play out. Anybody that freaks out and is blaming Howie for not retaining Chauncey Gardner Johnson can't see the big picture. If you give Chauncey what he wants, you cave to his demands. I don't know what his demands were exactly. No one knows. But if he wanted Jesse Bates money and he's nowhere near as good as Jesse Bates and Jesse Bates got $64 million, well, that $64 million means you cut Slay and you lose Bradbury. And then we're having this same conversation, but with the cornerbacks, with Greedy Williams on team and last year's starting tandem re-up. Do they move Maddox to safety? Personally, no. You got to remember something, Mark. Greedy Williams, it's a nice depth signing, but he's got injury issues. He's not a superstar. You do not plug Maddox into safety and then weaken your slot corner because Greedy Williams cannot just step in and start as that slot corner. He's got a tendency to not stay healthy. He doesn't even start regularly. Greedy Williams is here for depth so that when Avonte Maddox misses 2 games like he always does or 3 games, he's in there. When Darius Slay comes out of a game for 4 or 5 plays, which he does almost all the time, Greedy Williams can slide in there. That is basically taking the Greedy Williams move was so that Zeke McPherson, however you pronounce his name, bumps from 4 to 5 on your depth chart, and Greedy Williams is now in at 4. That's all that move is. It's a depth piece. And for as good as Maddox was when he was at safety, I think it was his rookie year he played a little bit at safety, he's so much better as a slot corner. He's one of the best slot corners in the league when he's on the field and when he stays healthy. He doesn't stay healthy, though, so this is more of a depth piece. And so, that being said, you don't move Avonte Maddox to safety. I mean, will they? I don't know, but I would not do that because you're creating another hole. If you move Maddox to safety, now you're back to needing to draft a cornerback in the 1st round. You're back to needing another cornerback that could play right away. So I think being able to find a starting safety, free agency, or a trade would be 100 times easier than trying to replace Avonte Maddox in the slot. If that makes sense. That's the way I go. But again, you gotta believe Howie's got a plan. There's no way, 0 chance, that Howie was, just gonna straight walk away from Chauncey Gardner Johnson and sign Bradbury and Slay and not have a plan. Howie Roseman's always got 2-3 plans in place. He's always thinking 3 steps down the line. He's playing chess, not checkers, in free agency and in the offseason every year. And I start searching Twitter and Facebook, and I see all these people just crushing Howie. Oh, you failed. You couldn't find $8 million. Well, I don't think it was just about the $8 million, guys. It clearly was not about just the $8 million. Because if Chauncey Gardner Johnson came back to Howie and like, look, I got this 1-year deal, 6.5 guaranteed from Detroit. Can't you do something? I really want to be here. No, this is Chauncey Gardner Johnson. Basically, I'm doing it off the screen, but going, yo, Howie, you wouldn't give me what I want, so here's a big middle finger. I'm going to go sign to Detroit and for less money, prove it again, and when you come calling next year and you want me back on the Eagles, screw you. That's how I see it happening. I haven't seen John Clark's reports this morning, but, I'm sure I'm pretty much on par. I'm going to pull up John Clark's Twitter page right now. Let's see what John Clark says. Mark, if that's what you... Yeah, Chauncey Gardner Johnson's agent says Eagles offered 3 years, but I don't think that was the first offer. I was saying 27. It's 24, yeah. I don't think that was the first offer, Mark. I think that was the offer most recent. I think they offered him more. He said no. Then Howie Roseman pivots, brings back Bradbury and Slay. And then Chauncey's agent's like, well, is that offer on the table? He says, no, this is the new offer because I don't have as much money now. And that's when Chauncey balks and gets out of town. I mean, sure. I mean, dude, Kyle, there's going to be so many names that are released now, released post June 1st, names that become, again, when do we trade for Chauncey Gardner Johnson? August 20th? There are going to be a lot of really good names that are available. And the Eagles are going to get 2. They're not going to go into next year with a Reed Blankenship and Kayvon Wallace. So any of these names that you can mention are all viable options. It's going to come down to price, fit into the system that Desai wants to run, all different things. I just think that Howie could have extended him during the season. Could have. Howie knew that there was a lot going excuse me. Knew that this was going to be a tough offseason. Didn't know how it was going to play out. And he said he wasn't making extensions this year mid-season because of how many guys that were up for extensions. Didn't want any problems there. Look, maybe he did try to extend them mid-season. But again, Chauncey Gardner Johnson thinks he was going to be paid this elite money. And I got Seth Joyner in my comments on Twitter this weekend, crushing everybody, saying that Chauncey Gardner Johnson should have gotten that elite money. I don't know. That we're going to miss him. And we very well may. Having 6 interceptions. Just like I said when Miles Sanders left, and I was okay with it. But it's hard to replace 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns. Well, it's hard to replace 6 interceptions on defense. It obviously is. But it's safety. There's a lot of options. It's not like, safety is not like quarterback where there's only 3 elite guys, and if you don't have an elite guy, you stand no chance. It's not plug and play per se, but you can go out there and find, like Kyle says, might get released by the Titans. Very viable option. Eric Rowe has turned himself, former Eagle, into a very good safety. He's available. Jalen Mills, he's an okay safety. I personally can't stand Jalen Mills. I don't know why. I've got this inner hate. I think it comes back from my former partners on my former show and how we used to argue about Jalen Mills. I just don't want to have to go through that. Well, maybe I do want to go through it again. I don't know. There's going to be names out there. This is not going to be the Reed Blankenship, Kayvon Wallace, and some other third-round pick. And that's it in the safety room. It's just not. If that is it, then maybe it is Avonte Maddox moving to safety like Mark asks. I don't know. But there could be zero. I can't see the people that are putting this on Howie. And I think that's what Mark, no offense, I think that this is what you're trying to get at, that you're blaming Howie for this deal not getting done. If Chauncey Gardner Johnson wanted to play in Philadelphia, and that was his goal, he'd be here. I don't even think he had to take a pay cut like Bradbury did or Fletcher Cox. I see people say, "Oh, well, you could have used that Fletcher Cox money on Chauncey." You could have, but you still got to get the player to agree to the deal. And if there's a deal on the table and he says no, you can't just wait. You can't let Chauncey Gardner Johnson hold up your entire offseason because he's not sure what deal he wants to take or what city he wants to play in. Here's the deal. Do you want it or not? You want to think about it for a few minutes? That's fine. You say no? Well, I got to pivot to move 2. I move 3. Oh, now you want the money. Well, the money's all gone. I couldn't wait 6 months for you to make a decision. This is where it's at. Yeah, so the first offer that we're seeing is the agency leaking the 3-year 24. But yeah, that wasn't the first deal. This is what was probably more likely the first deal. Probably about 3 years, $36 million. It's probably what he was offered. And if that happens, like you're reporting the rumors on, Kyle, if this happened, Darius Slay and James Bradbury are also not cornerbacks of the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe one is, but possibly neither. So personally, I'm taking the 2 cornerbacks, the 2 all-pro cornerbacks, over the safety. Because you could plug and play other safeties in that position, in that spot. You know, there's trade rumors. I think Jeremy Chin might be on the market. There's names out there. He said no to this. When he came back a week later, the 3-year, $24 million deal was on the table. He definitely balked at that. And you can't see it off camera, can you? I'm looking on my Facebook screen over here. No, you can't see it over there either. He flipped Howie the bird and said, "Screw this, I'm going to go to Detroit for a year." Detroit's going to be better with him on them. Detroit's building something up there. Maybe he keeps his head clean, keeps his attitude in check, and gets the big deal next year. But let's be honest. Outside the 6 interceptions, he's okay. I'm not breaking the bank and centering my whole entire offseason over waiting on Chauncey Gardner Johnson. And Howie didn't do that. And that's why we're here. That's why we're in this situation we're in now. I just can't put this on Howie at all. And to an extent, these past 2 weeks have just been so frustrating and nauseating and headache driven. The tweets, the subtweets, the deleted tweets, the changing, the wiping your Instagram photos and adding them, then wiping them. Like, it just shows the immaturity of Chauncey Gardner Johnson. Like, we've already got one diva in AJ Brown. We got other divas on this team. Do we really need another diva in Chauncey Gardner? Look, this is something I'm not going to get deep into today, but there's some divas on this team, and there's some egos on this team. And egos and divas and drama, if you have too many of them, trouble starts down the line. This is what happened in 08, 09, 18 and 19, Alshon and Carson and all those problems. There were divas involved. We don't need that on this team. Not only why did they trade him to us, they basically gave him to us for nothing. You know, like the Saints were willing to move on from a 24-year-old youngin' that had all these, high expectations. And yes, okay, so when I said it to Scotty, if I say it to Kyle, like maybe the 3 of us knew who Chauncey Gardner Johnson was, but 50% of Eagles fans probably had to Google search his name and be like, who is this guy? I barely knew of him. I just knew he was a Saints cornerback. I remember talking on this show when we made the trade for him, how I questioned the move because he never played safety really. And he played well. He did. But let's not act like he's been like a 4-year all-pro safety here. He's had 1 year in his career as a safety. Played 12 games. 6 interceptions. It's not enough to demand and demand more. I think Howie's had a masterful offseason. He has. And you can't center your entire offseason around one guy and then blame the GM when that guy goes elsewhere. Hey, you know what? Detroit, good for you. You got yourself a good guy. But you got a diva. And next offseason, he's gonna enamor himself to the Detroit fans. The Detroit fans are gonna love him, fall in love with him, because he's gonna say all the right things, do all the right things for the next 3 to 4 months. But then come the end of December, when Detroit's missing the playoffs, and his next contract's coming up, he's gonna be jawing just like he is now. He's gonna be tweeting things out, the eye emojis. He's just gonna be chirping. He's a diva. I saw somebody tweet something out right before I went to the show, and I don't play Madden anymore, but I thought it was a funny tweet. This free agency, it's like, Chauncey Gardner Johnson's a 78 on Madden, but wants to be paid like an 89. It's like, you got to have some realistic expectations. When you go into free agency, if anything, I don't even blame Chauncey Gardner Johnson as much as his agents. Whatever that agency is that he has working for him. If I'm Chauncey, once I get settled into Detroit, once that deal is signed and found his new apartment and all, I might think about leaving that agency and find somebody new. Because sometimes it is also the agent's responsibility to give players realistic expectations. A good agent doesn't just listen to the player and be like, yo, I want $100 million. All right, you're only worth 20, but I'm going to go out there and try to find you 100. No. An agent's job is to give realistic expectations, to be like a manager of the expectations for these players. So, that being said, it's the agent's fault, it's Chauncey Gardner Johnson's fault, and third, it's Howie's fault. Howie is so far down the list, and I know I'm gonna see it all day today, all over social media. Howie this, Howie that, Fletcher Cox or Brandon Graham, bye. You should have kept Chauncey. It's got to be on the player too to want to stay. Man, he's got me all messed up here. But to an extent, I'm glad it's over. The drama is over. Chauncey's gone. Means we can move on. We can fill out the rest of that. We can start talking about the draft, which we will in the coming weeks. We can start talking about, the other holes on this team, that there still are some. Linebacker is still an issue. Are we going to go out and get, one of those, released veteran star linebackers? Who's going to be the other quarterback? It's going to be Jalen Mills. It's going to be the name everybody wants now, because he's a former Eagle. He's the Green Goblin. He's got a personality. I guess he's close with Jen Williams, Slay's wife. I don't know. He's going to be the big name. But I would personally like to hold off and see if there's a trade that could be had, or who else gets cut from their teams before I settle. If I'm Howie Roseman, I am not rushing to fill this safety void right now. I'm not, unless something big comes along. I'm looking at all these draft picks that I got this year or next year. They don't have many this year. I'm looking at all these draft picks. I'm like, who out there is on the last year of their deal that we could trade for to bring in here, offer a couple of these 5th-round picks that we got next year, and just go. And if it takes 2 weeks, 2 months, as long as he's here by the start of camp and all, I'm not worried about it. Oh, like I said, Chauncey Gardner Johnson had a week of practice, and then it was game time. So, yeah, I'm not rushing into it. I'm sure we'll continue talking more of this Chauncey Gardner Johnson tomorrow. I want to pivot to some other conversations here today. Sixers are now at 8 wins in a row. Friday night, win by, 21-31? Win by what, like 39 on Friday night in Charlotte, and then Saturday night by another 20. They won by a combined 69 points, or 59 points this weekend on back-to-back road games, Charlotte and Indy. I mean, let's talk about Joel Embiid and how lazy he is. First off, he is putting up some of the worst fourth quarter points and numbers I've ever seen of any MVP candidate. 0 points in the fourth quarter in both Friday and Saturday's game. Yeah, I tweeted that out, and somebody's like, "What? Like, are you an idiot or something?" I'm like, people don't get sarcasm. I mean, seriously. Yeah, I'm not always the most sarcastic person, but I kind of am. And yeah, Joel Embiid, as dominant as could be this weekend. We are now tied in the second seat in the Eastern Conference, 2.5 back of the Bucks. We're tied with the Celtics. We start at home and home with the Bulls tonight. And you know, I talked about it earlier this year, before the year. I'm going to talk about it again. The schedule makers really effed the Sixers a lot. They just did 3 road games, come home for 1 game against the Bulls, and then go back out for 4 more road games. I mean, no favors done to the Sixers with this scheduling this year. You know, but you got the Bulls at home Monday, then we go to Chicago Wednesday, then we got Golden State and Phoenix Friday and Saturday, and Monday Denver again. You gave James Harden some rest, MVP'd. Yeah, I mean, can you give him the MVP when he's not playing the fourth quarter, Kyle? You know, I mean, he's too lazy to play the fourth quarter. You know, being up 30, you know, you don't need to play him. They're going to start making, you know, rules that you have to play a certain amount of games to win an MVP award. Well, now they're going to say, well, you got to play a certain amount of minutes a game, too. You know, and since he didn't play the fourth quarter, he can't be the MVP. Look, if you got an MVP vote and you do not vote for Joel Embiid, their closing schedule is brutal. It's unbelievable brutal. You know, it's the road trips. I mean, even with you got the West Coast trip, then you got Dallas, you got Milwaukee, Boston, Miami, Brooklyn to close. It's just so many road games. I mean, it means we played a lot of home games, obviously, yes, but still, he's not in good enough shape. Exactly. That is exactly what it is. Yeah. Again, like we said on Friday. Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it. You know, it's good. What are you, Mark? You're 1-1 attending Sixers games this year, or 2-1, something like that. I know you lost one of those games. And yeah, who's ringing the bell tonight? I don't know. But anyway, dominant performance this weekend. It was great on Saturday against Indiana. You were able to give James Harden a day off, PJ Tucker a game off, and Tobias Harris was able to capitalize. You know, he was able to break out of his slump a little bit on Saturday night. You know, which is great, which is what you need, which is what you want. And Tyrese Maxey still dominant. Joel Embiid, another monster performance on Saturday night. 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 blocks, 31 points in 30 minutes. Did not play the fourth quarter. Didn't need him. Friday night against Charlotte. You had, let's see here. It was one of those rough games. Tobias was slightly out of his slump that game. But Embiid, 29 minutes, 18 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks. Dominant performance. James Harden, triple-double. James Harden was off on Friday night. James Harden was 0-6 from deep, and we still won by 39. That's a dominant performance. And I know these are games that we should win. Charlotte, Indy are not on our level. Oh, you're 1-2. So you're saying the 8-game win streak is coming to an end tonight? I hope not. Let's get that to 2-2. Look, I saw somebody tweet it out today or yesterday that people are so surprised that the Sixers are playing so well right now. They have an 8-game winning streak. Do you realize, guys, this is not their first 8-game winning streak this year. They've got another 8-game winning streak and a 7-game winning streak, and I think 2 5-game winning streaks this year. This Sixers team, don't tell anybody. They're special. I know the book has been written with Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid that they can't get past the second round. But let me tell you something. Especially if they don't have to play the Celtics in the second round. This Sixers team is going to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. They are very, very strong chance of making the finals. I cannot see, barring some drastic injury, this Sixers team at least not going 7 games against the Bucks or the Celtics. This is not the old Sixers team. Joel Embiid's on a different level. James Harden is playing healthy and MVP. I mean, everybody talks about MVP votes. Why does nobody talk about what James Harden is doing this year? Tyrese Maxey's got his swagger back. We're starting to slowly see a little bit of PJ Tucker and what he's going to bring. Jalen McDaniels, the added athleticism there. This is a complete team. This is the best Sixers team we have had during the process era. Absolutely without a shot. No lie. I know this is a bold, and I just coming up with it, so I might kind of kick myself in the ass for saying this. This team would beat the Jimmy Butler Sixers team. Sorry, Jimmy. I don't mean to upset you there. But because Joel Embiid is on such a different level right now than he was years ago, this Joel Embiid-led team would beat that Sixers Jimmy Butler team. I have zero doubt in my mind, and I'm gonna try to find a way to clip this out here right around the 35-minute mark. The Sixers currently are so special and so good and so well played. They would have beaten the Jimmy Butler-led Sixers team, and it doesn't. I do not have any hesitation in saying that. So, with that being said, if you think they're that good, we have to have some level of faith or confidence. I know we lose in the second round every year, or even the first round. But let's be honest. You've had a broken face. You've had a quadruple doinker against Toronto. You had Ben Simmons passing up a dunk. You had Danny Green getting injured. You had other Joel Embiid injuries. Every year that we've gone out in the second round or earlier, it was this close or a freak accident that caused it. So maybe those teams were better than we realized, but outside the Hawks series, which was lost because of two things, Ben Simmons and Danny Green's injury. Danny Green doesn't get hurt. Even with Ben Simmons' play, I still think we win that series, which means then we're not a second-round exit team all the time. I'm just saying, this team is special. And I think we need to realize it and try to find a way as Sixers fans to block out that past negativity and focus on the now in this team. Because this team now is one of the best in the NBA. This team now has the best player in the NBA, the MVP of the league, playing on it at a level we've never seen from him before. We thought he should have been MVP the last 2 years, but he's playing totally different level this year. And that's why this team's better than the Butler year. Because of Joel. We could crush Doc Rivers all we want. But Doc Rivers is doing a damn good job coaching this team. He is. I know it breaks my heart. Mr. Fire Doc Rivers, I am. I got to give him credit. He's made one big mistake this year, and that was the bench roll for Tyrese Maxey for the short period of time. He rectified it, put him back in the starting lineup. You can't blame him for trying something in the middle of the season. It's not like he waited till 2 games left in the season to try it or try it in the playoffs. He tried it in the middle of the season. Didn't work out. It is what it is. The fact that we had so many injuries early this season, Maxey out extended period of time, Harden for a little bit of time. You got to give Doc credit. This team is special. Now, will they win tonight against the Bulls? I don't know. Maybe. Hopefully. Hopefully Mark doesn't go to 1-3 in attendance games this year. Hopefully they get at least one more win. I think it's kind of crazy when they're on the stretch that they're on right now to call any game a must-win. I want that 1 seed. I know when I had Sean Bernard on this show a few weeks back, he said the seeding doesn't really matter to him. I think it does, because I do think you want to try to avoid having to go through Boston and Milwaukee to get to the finals. If you get the 1 seed, they fight it out in 2 and 3, and then you only have to face one of them. I'd prefer that. I would hope that would be what everybody else prefers. But I almost want to say that tonight's a must-win game. Tonight and Wednesday night. This back-to-back home and home against the Bulls. Because then you have to go West Coast, Golden State, Phoenix, Denver, home for Dallas. That next 4-game stretch is super difficult. And you got to think that this, during that 4-game stretch there of Golden State, Phoenix, Denver, Dallas, 2-2 is a realistic expectation. Then you got Toronto, Milwaukee, Boston. That could be 2-1. That's 4 and 3. 5-3, 6. Yeah, so they might be able to go 7-3 in their last 10. So maybe 6-4. So you win these 2 games here. It's very important. I am not feeling okay. It's crazy. But am I wrong, Kyle? I mean, have we really seen a good coaching season from Doc Rivers? Like, honestly, I still think that, God forbid we get knocked out in the first or second round again, Doc Rivers is gone. An Eastern Conference Finals performance, though, we make it to Eastern Conference Finals and say we lose a heartbreaker to the Bucks or Celtics in 6 or 7 games, Doc Rivers will be back next year. They'll tweak the roster a little bit again. But Doc Rivers, barring an early playoff exit, which I don't foresee happening at this point, is going to stay the coach unless he wants to retire. And that could be the case too. I talked about that in years past that he just doesn't. He might need a break, but he even looks reinvigorated. Like the performance of the team has got him remotivated. Like you got to think a guy like Doc Rivers, a legend, a top tier coach of all time, once won more than one title on his resume. He's got to know that this is as good of an opportunity as he's ever going to get to win an NBA Finals again in his career. So it's got him reinvigorated, remotivated, refocused, and you see it. You know, he's got his flaws, obviously, but he's doing a damn good job. And I just don't foresee. I want to say, like I said, I see these Bulls games as must-win games. At least tonight's home game definitely could be and should be won. Get them the 9-game winning streak here. How it plays out over the next 10, 11 games, I don't know. I really need to see Joel get a rest somewhere along this stretch. You've got how many home back-to-backs? You've got Friday, Saturday. So you got one more set of back-to-back games on this West Coast run. I really like to see Joel get 1 or 2 more games off. I really would. I don't think it'll affect his MVP voting. He's either going to win the MVP or isn't. At this point of the season, him being healthy is without a shadow of doubt the number one priority. I would still like to see Tobias Harris get a break. I know he's played well his last 2 games, especially the last game with Harden and Tucker out. Just goes to show that maybe Tobias isn't struggling. There's just only so many shots to go around, and he forces things when he's given a lesser opportunity. Just goes to show that a bad team might want Tobias Harris because he can score if he's one of the go-to, centerpieces of the offense. So I think must win these games against Chicago. I do think they win tonight. I really do. I mean, I can't make an official prediction until I see who's playing and who's not. But a win should happen tonight. Mark should see another hand. The team's playing with such confidence right now. So Mark should be able to go in there and see a big W from the Sixers tonight at the Wells Fargo Center against those Chicago Bulls. It's a shame, the news broke last week that Lonzo Ball, another surgery. That poor kid, man, actually started to turn his career around once he left the Lakers. Started reinventing himself. Kid can't stay healthy, man. Yeah, they were talking to the Sixers looking at him in the offseason. Guy hasn't played in over a year. Don't know if he'll ever play again. He's going to try. But that's a damn shame there for him. And the Bulls are a good team, guys. Let's not give the Bulls take anything away from them. DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine. They've got a squad there in Chicago. Just not as good as the Sixers. That's all there is to it. Let me pull up these NBA standings before we move on. Like I said, 2.5 game lead. Where are the Bulls? The Bulls are actually in the playoffs as of this moment. They got a 1.5 lead on the Pacers for the last playing game. So they're a playoff team. They've won 2 in a row. So it's nothing to sneeze at there. I think that's very telling right there. All right. We're going to move on from the Sixers there. Got one more topic I want to cover. And that's Trea Turner. He's a Philly. Did you guys forget? I mean, I kind of didn't, but kind of forgot how good of a player he is. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, and last week I was talking after the Edwin Diaz injury about how I'm not a fan of the World Baseball Classic and my guys playing in it. And I think I saw some people on Twitter comment and I don't want people to think I don't like the World Baseball Classic. Baseball is great. I love baseball. Any competitive baseball series. I watch the Little League World Series. I watch some of the College World Series. I love competitive baseball. And I know in other countries that, they have a stronger national pride, that it means a lot to them. I mean, I know I was chatting with Kyle, off the air, and he was bringing up about how noisy the stadium was, anti-USA in the U.S. for that game on Saturday night, and it's frustrating. It's never going to be as big in the U.S. as it is elsewhere, but I get it. I understand why the importance of the World Baseball Classic is there. Yeah, we were all sweating it. JT gets hit in the hand or elbow, right around here or whatever. And that's why I don't like the World Baseball Classic. Because it's not that I don't have national pride. It's not that I don't want to see the United States succeed on a global level in sporting events. It's that I'm more passionate about my Phillies than Team USA. And that's the thing right there. That you see what happened to Edwin Diaz, he's gone for the year. That's going to devastate the Mets. They've locked up so much money into him, and he's devastated them. JT gets hit in a pitch. So did Altuve got hit. Altuve's got a broken hand or something like that. So he's going to be missing time for the Astros. When JT got plunked, I'm like, I'm just seeing my season. I'm like, I love Garrett Stubbs, but I don't want Garrett Stubbs catching for 3 months. I don't need them to have to go out and get Nappy back on this team. But then you go out and you see what Trea Turner does on the big stage. And you think about it. But you can easily get hurt in spring training. Yeah, I know. But I know this sounds almost stupid, Mark. But I would rather one of my team members get hurt working for the team than in a national game, a national tournament that, to me, it's gotten some momentum, and it's had some momentum this year. But I think when they first came out with it, whenever was it, 2008 or something like that, I think they expected it to blow up to something bigger than it really did. And it might have blown up bigger in other countries. It just didn't in the U.S. I don't want my guys getting hurt for that when, have we heard anything on Ranger Suarez? Because he was pulled from an injury. Yeah, I don't want my guys getting hurt. But if you don't think it's entertaining, because it is, I mean, whether you're Mike Trout and Trea Turner, or if you're on Team Mexico, or if you're on Team Dominican, whatever team you're on, I mean, every player in the World Baseball Classic is playing as if this is the World Series, whatever country they're representing. And you see the passion, and hell, inject the excitement into my veins. They're saying Rangers back by the start of the season? Good. That's a positive thing. We dodged a bullet there then. If you don't get pumped up when you see Trea Turner hit a game-winning grand slam in the World Baseball Classic, and then followed up yesterday with 2 more home runs, can you guys realize that Trea Turner is a Philadelphia Philly? What you saw, I hope he didn't use up all his mojo this weekend. But what you saw this weekend, that's your leadoff hitter this year. That's the guy that's going to be at the top of the order. And no offense to Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber did an admirable job as a leadoff hitter last year. Let me tell you something. Trea Turner might be one of the best leadoff hitters in baseball. Yeah, just give him the award now. He's going to, even if they lose tonight, I think tonight's the championship game, or is it tomorrow? Whatever. Trea Turner, 3 home runs in 2 days, 8 RBIs. God damn. That is your leadoff hitter of the Philadelphia Phillies. And it got me, I didn't even watch much of last night's game. I was watching other stuff, but I was watching the game on Saturday, and he hits that grand slam. It's Saturday night and Sunday morning. I'm thinking, what kind of numbers can Trea Turner put up at Citizen Bank Park with this lineup hitting behind him? That's right. The third place game, Mexico-Japan's tonight. Philly plays tomorrow. Or Phillies. The Phillies play tomorrow night. Yeah. I'm going to call it the Phillies. Yeah. It is what it is. Trying to think of what kind of numbers Trea Turner can put up. I saw Sean Brace tweet out, can he be 40-40? He's going to hit 40 doubles this year. He's going to have 40 steals, 25 home runs. Oh, I don't even have him up. Let me pull up Chauncey Gardner. I just clicked on a link that said Chauncey Gardner Johnson. My bad. Trea Turner. See, I'm still not over the Chauncey Gardner Johnson conversation. I mean, I'm over him not being here, but I'm not over the situation. Baseball Reference, Trea Turner stats. Let's see, last year. His numbers last year. Led the league in plate appearances 708, at bat 652. All right, he had 21 home runs, 100 RBIs, 27 steals, 298 batting average. Where was his doubles? He had 39 doubles, 4 triples. So let's kind of figure it out. 50 steals, that's a push. He had 27 last year. But let's just go over under here. He had 101 runs last year on the Dodgers. Over under that, I think we can say comfortably over. He should be able to hit the 100-run mark again. Hits 194 over under. He might be able to get to 200 hits. It'd be the first Philly in ages. I'll have to look that up to get 200 hits. 39 doubles. That was the most he's ever had in his career. 40 might be his max. 4 triples. He's had 6 and 8 a few times in his career. 21 home runs. He's had more than that before. So I see the home run number being the thing that he's going to get over the most. The 100 RBIs, that's tough. That's tough for a leadoff hitter to do. 27 steals. Let's see, the years before, 32, 40, 42, 32, 35, 43, 46. So maybe 50 is not as much of a reach as I could think it is. He only walked 45 times, had a 298 average, 343 on base, 466 slugging. Is it out of the realm of possibilities? 40 steals, 5 triples, 25 home runs, and 40 steals. That might be what you got in your leadoff spot. Gold glove, shortstop defense. And as we saw this weekend, penchant for the clutch. Big moment. World Baseball Classic. Bases loaded. Down 2. Yeah, hanger. He did not miss it. He put that thing out there. There is no doubt about it. Actually, I'm sitting there thinking as he's at the plate for that, I'm like, dude, this is what we got as our leadoff hitter. He's going to hit a grand slam here. And he does. And that's what you've got. Excuse me. It's just a special feeling to have somebody like Trea Turner on your squad. Because he's just different. He's different than the Kyle Schwarbers, the Nick Castellanoses, the Reese. He's just a different type of player. He is much more like a Bryce Harper type player than the other guys. And I know it's hard to understand, but we'll see it as the year plays out. He's a special type of baseball player. One that 5 tools, if you want to use that term. That's the kind of player he is. And even though Bryce Harper's probably going to miss the first couple months of the season, won't be back till sometime in July, he is down there running the bases. I saw videos yesterday of him running the bases. You know, he's not swinging a bat yet. You know, you're going to need Trea Turner to be an MVP caliber player. So Harper's back. And it's not like we saw what happened with Nick Castellanos last year. We can make up a lot of excuses on why he didn't perform up to, you know, what we paid him last year and that big contract we gave him. But maybe there was undue expectations put on him, maybe. But Trea Turner is not going to have that kind of drop-off because he got paid. There's a different breed. You got the all-star players, and then you got the MVP level players. And Trea Turner's one of those MVP caliber players that the moment just keeps getting brighter and brighter, and he just keeps shining more and more. If that makes sense. I don't know if the way I said it made sense exactly, but the guy's always in the top 10 voting for MVP for a reason. Because he's special. You know, how old is he? He's 29. Wow. Not wow in a bad way. Just saying it. Look, Trea Turner leading off. I got into it with, I think, Kyle, we were talking about it. I see it going something like Trea Turner leading off, Hoskins 2, you know, JT 3 till Harper comes back, and then Harper at 3, Schwarber 4, you know, JT 5 once Harper comes back. I don't know. I know you're going to have Bohm and Stott and Hall or Casty at the bottom of your lineup. Casty's starting to swing a bat a little bit in spring, which is good. Rhys Hoskins is getting hot in spring. Guys, don't forget, Rhys Hoskins is still a very damn good baseball player. I will go to the deathbed of mine supporting Rhys Hoskins. That he's better than people give him credit for. I will. This is probably his last year in Philly. He's not going to get the big payday probably to stay. We'll see if Dark Hall plays well. Is the DH while Harper's out? Maybe they even try to move Hoskins. It's going to be killer to this team because I'm a big Rhys Hoskins guy. This Phillies team is going to be good, really good. Bohm needs to bat up in the lineup. He's going to have 3. I know you keep saying this, and I'm not against the idea of Alec Bohm, the 3-hole hitter, while Harper's out, just to see what he's got. But if you're going to do it, you got to commit to it, and not for a week, for 4 weeks, 8 weeks. You got to give him 8 weeks in that 3-hole to see if he can figure it out. I know they're saying he's bulked up, he's bigger, he's swinging a hot bat in training camp, spring training games. Sure, because if you could put him in the 3-hole till Harper comes back and he succeeds there, then you could do so many other things with the lineup when Harper does come back. And if he fails and he's only hitting 250 and he's not on pace for 200 hits, yeah, and just so you know, Mark, hitting 200 hits, it's a lot harder than it used to be. It's very hard. Very few players hit 200 hits in a season anymore because they don't get enough at bats, walks, whatever. With the shift maybe changing things, maybe we start to see guys get to 200 hits more often. We're going to see more guys hit 300. I would say even a 280 hitter with 25 home runs and everybody keeps talking about 200 hits for Alec Bohm. I want to see Alec Bohm get to 100 RBIs. I don't think he's ever going to hit 30 home runs. I know he's bulked up and all, but I don't think he's ever going to be a 30 home run guy. I think he's going to be a 35 doubles, 25 homer kind of guy. But I think he can get to that 100 RBI plateau. He gets 3, 5, whatever in the lineup. He can get there. Trea Turner's going to be on base 200 times this year, 250 times. So if he's going to be on base 250 times, somebody's going to have to drive him in. Why not Alec Bohm? I think it's something that we could talk about there. He doesn't need to have 100 RBIs on this team. Well, Bryce Harper's not going to be here till July. So, and we still don't know what we're getting with Castellanos. So Castellanos is supposed to be a 100 RBI guy. He's not. Harper's a 100 RBI guy. He's not going to be around this year. So, yeah, he kind of does need to pick up some of that slack. And look, like I just said, I know Trea Turner had 100 RBIs last year, but that's not what you're paying him to do. You're paying him to get on base and score runs, not drive runs in. So you're not getting 100 RBIs there. You might get more RBIs out of Schwarber this year with him hitting cleanup versus leadoff, but not much more. So I think Bohm can be a 100 RBI guy. And I think somebody's going to have to step up to drive in runs. I don't think it's as clear cut as it seems. You know, the only other thing is you say a 3-hole for him, Mark. What the hell was that? My coffee just splashed up in my face here. Maybe if he doesn't hit in the 3-hole, maybe if they're not confident in Rhys in the 2-hole like he was all last year, maybe you put Bohm in the 2-hole. I don't know. Yeah, I think you got some options there until Bryce Harper comes back. But if everybody's hitting the way we think they can hit, when Bryce Harper comes back, it's going to be like a luxury. It really is. And I'll end this Phillies conversation on this for today. And we're going to continue talking Phillies because, with the World Baseball Classic and with the fact that, what's today's date? The 20th? We're like less than 10 days. What is it? Next Thursday is opening day. We are so close to opening day. It's going to come down to the pitching. I know we have a great on-paper pitching staff, but if anything, if you guys had to say what is more concerning to you as a Phillies fan, the pitching or the hitting, it's got to be the pitching, right? I mean, it's not concerning, but it is. There's theories and threads you can come up with, being, short off season for Wheeler and Nola, a lot of innings on their arms last year. Are they going to be, at 100% all year long? The Andrew Painter situation, the Ranger Suarez situation. You've got all these names in the bullpen, but Craig Kimbrell's older, and Soto and Alvarado are wild things. I don't know. I guess there could be questions about the pitching staff. It's interesting. I'm gonna put out a poll. We'll pick this conversation up again this week. Are you more concerned pitching or hitting for this Phillies team? But we're gonna wrap up Training the AM right here on DSM Media right there for today. Like I said, everybody, thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, turn all notifications on your channel here on DSM Media. We'll be back tomorrow with more Eagles conversation. I'm sure we're gonna hear more about Chauncey Gardner Johnson all day long. We'll talk more Sixers, whether Mark goes to 1-3 or 2-2 attending Sixers games without me this year. And we'll pick up more of this Phillies conversation with Trea Turner, and we'll see what this poll that I run, how it goes. So everybody have a great day. For DSM Media, I am Phil Stifle. It's Go Birds, and it's Ring That Damn Bell.
And Philadelphia has it.
Holding.
Gets around in front.
Oh, he's got to head to it. Set it!